Good morning, everybody. It's Wednesday, the 24th of May, and this morning I'd like to do the cloud chart FTSE market review. We're going to look at the FTSE 100, FTSE 350, and FTSE All Share, as well as the FTSE 250, and the sector rotation that's taking place within the FTSE indices. Okay, so we're going to jump straight into the Pro Real-Time platform. I'm going to kick off with the FTSE 100 to see where we're at. We had a nice breakout out of a kind of a trading range. Then we had the brief retest of the old highs. It's now trying to get past to retest the 7,535 high there, making another attempt at that kind of resistance zone. Interestingly enough, the key support levels to watch out for is the lows here at the front end of the cloud at 7385, a cluster of support, so we could see a retest if a breakout fails back down to the top end of the cloud support zone. Yeah, we had a nice trade here from a MACD buy below the cloud and this cloud support. Where it rebounded from the bottom end of the cloud support. And there was a couple of points in that trade. Now watching very closely to see if we see a MACD sell signal coming through, because we are moving towards the end of May and the seasonal weak summer. So it's going to be interesting to see if we're going to, in fact, have that seasonal weakness. But watching very closely for these cloud chart buy and sell signals to come in at these respective levels. Okay. FTSE 250 still looking very strong. Nice little breakout past the cloud resistance here back in December, and we've had a very strong rally since then. Steady uptrend as indicated by the cloud. Yeah, various buy and sell signals from a MACD trading perspective. Slightly underperformance recently versus the FTSE All Share, but we're going to see probably a consolidation back down to the top end of the cloud chart support zone within this cluster support zone here at 19,515. That would be a key support level for the FTSE to have a brief retracement to the FTSE 250. Okay. Looking at the 350, also similar to the FTSE 100, broke out of a consolidation base, rebounded from the bottom end of the cloud support, got the MACD buy signal, steady as she goes. Support is now, a new support level is 4,106, so any kind of consolidation risk should be back down to that level. But it would appear that we're going to try and retest the 4,175 level to see if it's going to break past that level. Watching very closely for the profit-taking signal to come in and around these levels, and then for a consolidation to take place back down to the top end of the cloud, and then back in for a swing trade to the upside. Okay. FTSE All Share, also similar to the FTSE 350, very similar chart pattern. We've had the breakout, then the retest of the old high here for support. Support came in, we rallied back up, and we're getting pretty close to the old highs for another retest of this resistance zone. Need to see a breakout past those levels. If breakout fails, we're going to dip back, retest this 4,000 level, and possibly back down to 4,010 as the major support zone. This cloud is a key support zone. Okay. Very interesting. The FTSE 100 equally weighted one is still not yet consolidation risk is quite high here because we haven't had that pullback. The first level of support here is 1554, so we could see a bit of a retest coming back there in any kind of May, beginning June weakness, and then another rally into July. So watching very closely for a potential profit taking in the FTSE equally weighted index. Okay. Turning to the individual sectors, auto parts trading below the cloud, so this sector is slightly in a downtrend now, as indicated by the front cloud. The resistance levels here at 636. It's a major resistance area, so watching out for a possible weakness in and around these levels. But currently looking for support at old lows here. If support holds, it will rebound back to the bottom end of the cloud and then continue the downtrend. But overall, the overall outlook is bearish. Banks fighting for support at the top end of the cloud, downside risk towards the 149.25 level, this cloud chart support zone here. So there is potential downside here if support fails at the top end of the cloud. So it's struggling to really gain momentum. Watching very closely for MACD sell signal to come in at these levels. But so far, looking for support at the top end of the cloud. The question is, are we going to rebound at that level? But we've been in this trade for a couple of days now. So looking at some profit-taking opportunities with the old high of the front end, the cloud chart shadow here at 153.85 as a key resistance area. Okay. Basic resources also trading below the cloud with repeated attempts to rally from old support levels here. You can see the support level comes from the 659 zone. Old cloud chart support rebounded. Then we're now looking at front end 720 as a key resistance area, and then the next resistance area is 733. So it is going to hit these bottom cloud chart resistance levels and this continue its downtrend. Okay. Right for consolidation risk back down to the top end of the cloud here at 2071. That is a key support zone. Watch out, we've had a MACD signal, so profit taking is in order, and we could expect a consolidation back down to the top end of the cloud. Construction materials looking for support at the bottom end of the cloud here. Rebounded, sorry, at the top end of the cloud here. 911 is a key support zone with major resistance in and around these highs here from 961 down to 940. These are major resistance zones. So currently, MACD signal remain valid on this one with potential targets for weakness back down to the bottom end of the cloud here. Financial services also very bit extended. We need to see some form of consolidation. Front end of the cloud is the first consolidation zone. Note that we've had a MACD profit taking signal here. So we could revisit this trade when it comes to rebound from the top end of the cloud. Okay. Food and beverages, a little bit extended, broke out of a trading range, nicely rebounded from the top end of the cloud here. You can see a rebound at the top end of the cloud support. And now it's going to end up breaking out past the old highs with front end of the cloud as key support. So you buy the support, cloud support, and you sell the rallies in terms of something that's extended. As you see when the MACD sell signal will come in around these levels, but we have broken out of a trading range now, so we should follow through on that breakout. Healthcare. Struggling, broke past resistance levels here, old highs, now busy with a retest. Downside major support level here at top end of the cloud here, both old cloud chart shadow and front cloud support levels. So watching for a possible retest of the zone here to see how strong the support is. MACD looking like it wants to give a profit taking signal, but watching very closely for these these sell signals to come in around those support levels, if support fails, of course. Industrial goods and services, a little bit extended, but it's been a fantastic trade from the cloud cross here to the upside, steady uptrend, and we now have support at 957 and then at the top end of the cloud here at 973. So watch those levels, potential retest of support. Okay. Insurance. Struggling to get past the March 20th highs here. Struggle, resistance came in. MACD sell signal then fired, so downside risk is towards the top end of the cloud here at 696. So watching very closely for those levels to be tested. We've had a MACD sell on the cloud chart basis, so looking weak. Media. Moving sideways, so far found support at the top in the cloud here. So not a particularly nice, exciting chart, relatively underperforming the FTSE All Share. So it's not a particularly nice chart. Moving sideways, not particularly good for clouds. It needs to either break out or break down from the cloud chart support level here. Oil and gas. Following the oil price similarly, but we're now fighting resistance at the old cloud chart levels here, watching for the major resistance to come in there. You can see there it's now fighting for support at the bottom in the cloud. Will support hold? That's going to be an absolutely critical thing for the sector. But we've had a nice little MACD by a couple of points in this trade. Now looking for support at the bottom in the cloud. That could be a secondary entry point if support holds, so watching very closely to see what this index is going to do. Personal household products also broke out of a trading range here. Let's call it a base. Nice long base. So it still needs to find support at the top end of the space. It's going to retest that downside risk towards the front end of the cloud here at 1377. It can still dip into that zone to see how strong that support is. But we've had a tremendous nice rally here. Broke past cloud chart resistance here. Cloud was new support. Up she goes. So front end of the cloud still indicates steady uptrend. Had a MACD buy, secondary one here at the bottom end of the base, and at the cloud chart support zone's a pretty nice entry point there. Real estate struggling. Broke past old highs here, now testing for support at the 538 top end of the cloud chart support zone. Potential downside to 531, so you could look at a swing trade in around these levels. But note, we've had a MACD sell signal, so there's downside consolidation risk back down to the 530 and 531 levels. Okay, so I'm going to put that in there. So looking weak overall. Retail, nice strong rally, a little bit extended. Front end of the cloud here gives indication of key support to be retested, so it could snap back and retest that, but we've had a nice MACD buy signal at the bottom end of the cloud here, and steady up it went. Now looking for a consolidation back down to 327. So it's probably okay to take some profit off the table on that one. It's pretty steep slope and a pretty steep ascent. Technology, nice little breakout past cloud chart resistance here. Cloud was key support. Fantastic rebound here, coinciding very well with the MACD buy signal there. Strong rally up, and then the sell signal came through after this big correction. We're now testing the front end cloud support here. And these lows are moving into the support range. Might form another base here for another attempt later in the month or early part of June, as it's going to rebound for the top end of the cloud. So watching very closely to see if that rebound is going to come in at the top end of the cloud. Telecoms, fighting old resistance levels here back from February. So it's going to be interesting to see if resistance is going to hold. If it holds, we're going to dip back into the top end of the cloud support zone here, and then we can rebound from there further on. But note, we've had a MACD buy signal way down here at the bottom below the cloud, and it's now a little bit extended. So watching very closely to see if we're going to break past these levels or if resistance is going to be maintained. Travel and leisure, nice little steady uptrend. Back here in December, broke over the cloud, past cloud chart resistance. Various buy and sell signals from MACD perspective, but it's been fantastic trade, this one. Base formation, breakout out of a base, close to a rebound from the top end cloud chart support level, now right for a consolidation, back down to top end cloud chart support zone. So watching very closely for some profit taking in order here after a nice strong rally. Okay. Utilities, whoa, a little bit extended here. Going to go, you can see fighting old 755 resistance from back November. It's fighting this resistance zone, so we need to see that, are we going to see a reversal here or not? It's going to be critical to see what's going to happen this week if we're going to see that reversal. It needs to break past the 755 and remain that way, otherwise we're going to see some form of consolidation. Pretty steep ascent here, so there's downside risk back down to these old highs here, as well as the front end of the cloud, watching very closely. But there's been a nice trade since the MACD buy signal, so should take some profit off the table at some point this week. And then just back to the All Share Index, which is now broken out of a long consolidation period and needs to reestablish needs to make a follow through past these old highs. Fail that, we're going to dip back into and test these, dip back into support and then test these support levels at 4046. Okay. Until next time, happy trading.